Have you ever been in a practice that has their patient history done on paper where the patient is actually handwriting it? You know the feeling of looking at something, going cross-eyed, what is this they wrote on there? Well, guess what? That's kind of what it feels like when you're reading a commercial lease. So today, I kind of want to make a video just going over some of the things that you should know about. Maybe you can avoid some headaches and make some informed decisions when you're getting into your lease. So to get started, commercial leases are actually usually stacked against you. They're typically in favor for the landlord. So most of us have had a residential lease before. Those are geared towards the tenant safety, where the protections in the commercial world are more for the landlord. So that's why you need to know what you're reading. They're long. I've seen them from a couple of pages to 50 pages. So it's something you really want to make sure that you're reading, at least when you first start. Because again, this could be one of the largest fixed expenses of your entire practice. So a lot of people say, hey, I'm not going to get representation. They'll probably give me a better deal. They're not paying someone commission. I mean, I've seen that story so many times, but to be honest with you, you're probably still not getting a better one. And you're really going into something not having the full education of someone that could have an expert opinion on it. So with that, let's get started on the location. If you've been around real estate at all, even if you haven't been, people always say location, location, location. So this is the right spot, could really make or break your practice. I don't think it's as big of a deal as some people can say that it is, especially with some of the marketing strategies you could put into place. But again, it is going to be something that you're going to be there for a long time. So you want to make sure that you're getting it right. So before you just sign on to it just because they're on the corner and they have sweet signage, you got to make sure, hey, is the rent fair in this area? Is it going to be something I can manage with the actual collections that I'm doing? I mean, who are the anchor tenants? Is there other dentists around here? Is there any in the same complex? So those are questions you want to be able to ask yourself. So when you get into reading a lease, there's actually different variations when you're in the commercial real estate world. The two most common are going to be a gross lease and then the triple net lease. So those are the two I usually run across. The gross lease, that's more like an all-inclusive, everything's included, it's much more predictable, but the rate is going to be higher because those are stuffed in. Now the triple net, that is more what I see when I'm doing this for dentists. And basically it's a fancy term that you're paying for things that the landlord typically would be paying for. So when you think of these three things, it's going to be property taxes, insurance, and the maintenance costs, which sometimes it's called CAM, common area maintenance. But again, a lot of this is prorated based on your space, and these are things that you will be paying each month along with your base rent. So it can be kind of confusing on a triple net, and that's why, again, just make sure you're getting a clear breakdown of the costs. So moving forward to if you're going to do a build out, that's more even, so it can be confusing with the tenant improvement. So as you know, dental offices need a lot of customization. So there are opportunities for you to negotiate tenant improvement allowance. Sometimes people call this TI. It's really going to be where the landlord helps pay for some of these things to help make your practice into a better space to practice dentistry. So pro tip here is landlords love dentists. You have a lot more leverage than you think. You guys stick around for a long time, and you have one of the lowest failure rates of all professions. So again, you're a consistent payment to landlords. So again, they love dentists. So just always remember that. So kind of wrapping this into actual transitions, there's always going to be a lease assignment. So when you're doing this, it's typically the last thing that gets done, but you usually want to start it at the beginning just because, again, it takes a long time. Landlords are busy. You have to reach out to them multiple times just to get it done. So you want to make sure that the landlord actually approves the assignment. And you want to make sure that there's things in there about, the personal guarantees. You're always going to sign one when you do the lease. When you're a seller, sometimes you can get off the hook when you've assigned it. It's not very common, but it is something you could always ask for. So that's kind of where these assignments they seem easy, but it could really be a deal killer, and that's why you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly. So handle this early. and then make sure it's something that is going to be in the best interest of both parties. So if you're taking over the lease, again, make sure you review it carefully. Hopefully you have some type of representation, whether that's a commercial broker, a lawyer. Typically I'm working with a lawyer too, so that's 2 sets of eyes on. That's honestly probably the best option you have. You want to make sure, again, what's the exclusivity? Is there rent increases? Is there renewal options? There's just so many things to make sure that are accurate and in the best interest for you when you're getting your lease. So one more thing on the lease is, the length of term. It's different in the commercial world as well. I actually typically advise clients to do the 5-year. It's something that I think is, manageable, but also it is long enough to lock you in a good rate. Make sure you have renewal options with that. And also, honestly, most banks require 5 years at least somewhere in order to get the deal done. Sometimes you're going to see leases, they want you to sign for 10, 15 years. You might be thinking, that's sweet, I can get locked in. I usually just advise against that because so much can change in that amount of time. Markets go up and down, you don't know what's going to happen with your own personal life. So there's just so many reasons I think it's better to have that shorter term, and you're not getting locked into something where it could be in the negative. So also just, another tip here is sometimes you'll have a commercial broker who really pushes these 10 to 15 years. And the secret is that, we actually get paid typically by the landlord. So you don't typically pay a commercial broker for any type of real estate if they're representing you as the buyer. They still do sometimes, but just that's typically how it's handled. However, getting back to that, they get paid on the number of the whole entire lease. So if you're getting X commission on 5 years or X commission on 10 years, you're basically doubling your commission. So again, that's why I think some of these guys push that. I don't think it's very ethical, but again, that's why I've always just done the 5-year. I think it's the best option for everybody. So kind of going back to wrap all this up, I know it's kind of confusing. There's a lot going on in these leases. Basically, I just wanted to make sure, what a great lease is very important to you as a practice owner throughout your entire career. So here again, got the whiteboard for you here. You can go ahead and take a picture if you want. But again, these are things you got to know your lease, negotiate for the now, and then you plan for the later. So that's really the important part. So again, market rate, triple net versus gross, term, escalations, TI, assignment, expansion, exclusivity. All super important, all pretty much negotiable. So, if you're looking to get into the practice ownership or, whether you're buying, selling, starting from scratch, I'd love to help you do this. I do this every day, helping dentists with this, and I do have my commercial real estate license. So feel free to reach out to me at 480-690-5200. You can also email me at info@dentalbroker.com. And if you thought this was helpful, please, put a like, subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps with more viewers. Later.